Hello and welcome to Construction Sport Week, the update. What has been going on in the world? I went out for a marathon walk yesterday. We're doing a marathon next week with about 30 people from within the Construction Sport Network. So I went out to figure out the route. I'd done it before and got lost at Richmond Park, not realised how big it was. So yesterday I went out, spent the day on my feet, familiarising myself with London, its pavements and the route that will be taken. So yeah, it'll be a good crack. A number of people come along, 30 of us signed up as we speak. Going to be a good day, 6 a.m. from Liverpool Street Station next Thursday. Going to be finishing, or heading out towards Richmond Park to the West London, then coming back round all the way, finishing in the St. Paul's area around London. So yeah, all good on that note. What else is there to report on our side? Nothing too major. Good week out there, good fun. But yeah, a little delve into what the media's saying, what we've been hearing this week. What have we been hearing? Readie Construction, massive firm, well, was a massive firm, should we say, gone into administration. Readie Construction topples into administration. They've officially been appointed, the administrators have officially been appointed for logistics and warehousing specialist Readie Construction Limited. A notice on the company website states that it is in administration and has ceased trading. An email to staff on the 6th of February revealed that Readie Construction Management stated inflationary cost pressures, numerous subcontractor failures, chronic tightening in performance band and trade credit insurance markets have put the business under considerable strain. Despite the efforts of the directors to overcome these challenges by seeking external sources of finance, support and investment, we have not been successful in finding a viable solution. My theory on this is that construction is just operating the wrong way, because how many have we seen of these over the last few years really, when you think back to Carillion, but it's just happening all the time. They all just blame times. It's down to the financial pressures of the moment. Well, maybe should we just stop blaming the outdoor problems and the society of what it is? And I get it, that is a big part, but does that not fundamentally show that you just aren't set up right or prepared for what's around the corner? Construction is a broken industry. We hear it more and more in many ways, whether it's regards to the financial pressures or obviously the mental health in the workplace, as well as many things. So yeah, it's another one. Apprenticeships. It's been a National Apprentice Week or something like that. I haven't had too much to do with it, but not being really a big believer in the old apprenticeship malarkey, not going to lie. But if you look on TikTok at our Apprentice little post, you'll see lots of feedback on there. Very interesting. Some pros and cons of it both. Fair play. Good argument. Not an argument. Good debate, that one, whether what the pros and cons were for it. We've got a few private messages as well off the back of that. So no, I appreciate all the feedback that we can get. It does help because we get this feedback and then I have to go and speak with a lot of people in different places, and it gives me a lot of ammunition and feedback of the truth of what's going out there, not just what the corporate bods say. So any feedback, I'm hugely appreciative to the audience that let us know what is going on. Barratt Homes. I heard a few months ago that Redrow. So Redrow, I heard a few months back that they were in trouble. I know there's a few companies around our way that were preparing for something that might have been bubbling underneath the surface, but it's not all bad for everyone. Redrow has been bought out by Barratt, so technically they have survived, what is good, because that means obviously a big supply chain that isn't been affected or smashed to pieces because of the problems that they're having. However, what the actual mainstream media in the construction world is not reporting is that 800 people apparently lost their jobs as well. So you don't see that. But I spoke to someone this morning over breakfast and they said, yeah, there's Redrow have cut about 800 people behind the doors and Barratt's have taken over of what it is. But yeah, the cost of the merger, it was listed to be £73 million it's cost. Barratt's is a home builder, and I've long admired due to its like-minded attention to quality. I'm confident that the Barratt-Redrow combination with their 3 high-quality complementary brands will create a standout home builder for the future and accelerate the delivery of the much-needed homes across the UK, says Steve Morgan, Redrow's founder, during his 50 years since he founded it. So there you go, 50 years, and he's cashed out. But there we are. I suppose he's probably got some part in it still. I'm not going to go too much into that. Not too worried. Construction in general. So, construction claims. Have you been involved in a workplace accident? Please get in touch on 0787. I got in touch with someone yesterday, or someone got in touch with me yesterday about claims in the construction world. What is very interesting. Not because, as they said as well, being ambulance chasers, it's not what it's about. What it's about is something that I've dealt with a lot in the past, and that's speaking to people who have never been the same on site since they witnessed something many years ago. So people who have psychologically been affected by trauma that they have witnessed on a construction site. Is that you? Please get in touch. Please let us know. Or please let us if any reports on it. Because I've been there. We've witnessed. I worked on Crossrail for 4-5 years. There was multiple suicides going on along those lines as we were there, working there. So each week, I think one part of our job was affected by that. Worked in Hornsey in North London. You witnessed a lot of that stuff going on firsthand, but wasn't too pretty. And not once did anyone ever say, guys, this is what you're up against. These are the conditions that you come in. Especially the railway guys. How many people have actually been sat down and said, are you prepared to potentially see what is not construction workers, obviously, it's general public. Anyone who wants to put himself in front of a train, it's shocking. But has anyone actually wondered or thought or told you that you might actually be worth venturing into the world of compensation for what the psychological damage that has been cost? I'm not sure if Network Rail have got that things in place for all the way down the supply chain. I'm not sure if companies do, a lot of them, in terms of doing that. There's a lot of construction companies I know, and I think it is a case that a lot of construction companies don't actually know how to support people in that area. I get that. But, for instance, we spoke with one person whose life had changed because they actually saved someone multiple years ago, and they still psychologically have never been the same since that day. Post-traumatic stress disorder kicked in. Post-traumatic stress disorder is not recognised in construction, full stop. I don't care what anyone says. Nothing is in place. I've never seen a risk assessment about it, method statement, whatever crap you want to say. There's nothing in there what gives people the benefit of the doubt. A construction worker will see stuff, unfortunately, that they don't want to see, and they are not mentally prepared to deal with that stuff. Not like the fire brigade are, not like the military service are, not like the ambulance service. Those guys have an element of understand they may see that stuff. Construction workers don't really understand what they're potentially going to see when something goes wrong, because it's not supposed to be going on in front of us, and it does. So when that does happen, is anything in place? As an industry, I don't think there is. I think what is in place is very weak. And I think when lawyers and big people start getting involved and start saying, you guys are not adequate enough to be supporting your staff because they have not had the psychological support they needed. And if you really look into it, there's probably been multiple suicides over the years with people who psychologically can't deal with life because of stuff they've witnessed. We all hear it, we see it, we know people who have never been the same since an accident back in a few years back or something. So really interesting one, that one. That is something we will be pursuing and keeping the eye on move, because if companies or the industry realises that it's going to open itself up to multi-millions pounds worth of claims, similar to PPI or something like that, or asbestosis, guess what? The HSC gets on board and actually changes things, or government steps in and makes sure the guidelines change. I probably would say that is going to be the way. I think the industry is going to start seeing itself getting fined when these solicitors and these big people turn up and realise they understand the law a lot better than our own industry does. They realise there's a lot of money for these law firms to potentially come in and really push to extract not just themselves but for the actual construction workers that need it as well. So prepare yourselves. Interest in that one. That is going to be an ongoing story. Bear with us. An article that came up this week. Construction workers want mental health support in new jobs. Are construction workers getting the right support in terms of mental health? You know our thoughts on that. No. But do you? It's been a charity's doing enough. We're a charity. We don't do enough. I know that because we're not funding the right way to be able to do enough at this time. But we're making as much noise as we can to hopefully get to that position where we can make change. But are the construction charities out there doing enough? Is anyone in the charities in the construction world, aside from ourselves who are trying to do everything we can, trying to change the laws or pushing for change? It's very good as a construction charity if you're making multi-millions of pounds. The best thing you want to do is not turn the tap off. So don't fix the problem if it's going to stop the funding. That's what it looks like. We speak to multiple people at certain levels, some very senior this week. It's interesting, but nobody from any of these massive organisations that are coining it in, none of them are actually doing anything to actually change the problem. But in terms of marketing, they look like they're doing a lot more than they actually are, put it that way. So there's some great people out there at the moment going across sites, doing a lot of work to really show their support for people on site. However, my true theory is that them people are brilliant people and they're doing a great job. But the senior people above them have got to change things. There's only so long you can keep going around someone saying it's all right, it's all right, it's all right, because guess what? It fucking isn't. So things need to be changed, and the people in the suits, in the ties on, who turn up to the Ponzi lunches that I go to as well every now and then, do need to change something. They can't just keep on preaching the same stuff year on year. It's been happening 10 years now, and guess what? Figures have gone up and up and up. But research undertaken by Randstad UK revealed that 88% of construction workers viewed the provision of mental health support as important when choosing their next job, with 39% considering it as a very important, 49% believing it in somewhat important. It's in some way important. That is another survey, of which most surveys are complete bollocks. But it does show that people actually want to see mental health support on site. Not mental health support on site that someone's done a 2-day course and can now suddenly fix all your problems, because the mental health first aid course, I believe, is a shower of shit. But psychological people that know what they're doing with psychiatrists, counsellors, people who have studied that field, people who have done the hard work to understand that subject and that profession should be getting involved in the construction world. We have not opened up our doors to people who could actually psychologically support us in this industry yet. All we've done is created a plastic course and flogged it for as much money as we can, and the people in this sector should be ashamed of themselves. You cowboys. And drugs in construction. Many sites I go on love the drugs on site. I'm not going to lie, you see it day in, day out. A lot of jobs. Is it a construction problem? Drugs on site? Not just inside, but you know what I mean, the people around it, or is it a societal problem? Interesting one. If you were to ban drugs, if you drug and alcohol checked everybody on site, whether the HSC started going around, could you imagine it? To your local house bashing, or even your tier one kind of your big infrastructure stuff, would that be achievable? No, it wouldn't, because there would be no one left on the construction site, probably much, or 90-odd%. I don't think it's a case of should we test someone and see if they had drugs last week and then ban them from whatever they want to do. But researchers at the Centre of Disease Control and Prevention looked at more than 60,000 drug-linked fatalities nationwide in 2020 and found that construction and extraction workers, whatever that means, such as builders, roofers and oil workers, oil extraction, died from illicit prescription drug overdoses at a rate of 163 per 100,000 people. Researchers said one reason for this was because the workers are more likely to suffer injuries or chronic pain and may then become addicted to opioids after taking them to manage the condition. I get that to a certain point, maybe from painkillers and stuff like that, but in terms of your Class A stuff and what some construction workers are on, I don't think that's for pain control. I get it if there's kind of a bit of traumatic kind of addiction or something behind them, but yeah, I'd be interested to see what you say, guys and girls, on this one, because it's a massive subject. Have you been drug and alcohol checked on site? Is that something that you guys are worried about? I know that we've had it a lot on sites that I've worked on, and there is obviously the odd ones that just turn up on the door and just make sure you're tested, or they test you when there's been an incident or accident or fatality or something like that, and it's understandable. But yeah, painkillers are prescribed to help workers, they said. Many return to work too early and sometimes through injuries. If you've got a bad back, if you're in crippling pain, guess what? You still got to go to work because you need to be paid. That's exactly it. And also, yeah, there you go. And then what are construction workers doing to help themselves as well, I suppose? That's one thing we spoke about yesterday. In terms of pensions, don't know many construction workers with a pension. We're in a position where we work every day just to pay the bills, and there's not much to put aside, is there, in terms of, especially when we're in a construction industry now that, as of last week's report that we've done, was 6.6% of our, we've got actual wages have slipped 6.6%, gone down, even though obviously the rest of the world, inflation has driven other money up. For construction workers, nothing. So, yeah, Do we have enough financial support in the construction sector? Are we educated enough as a sector? Should that be down to the individual to educate himself on it? I know a lot of us fall into construction because we're not potentially that academic, so that is a reason why we then turn up into a job where we're self-employed, kind of running our own company from day one, because you've got to sort out your own transport, taxes, courses, everything. So you got a lot stuck on your plate straight away when you fall out of school and land on a construction site. It's very much things, and like you say, and by 10 years' time, once that goes past you, you find yourself in a bit of a hole where you've got yourself in a bit of a pickle, turn to drugs, turn to alcohol, mental health issues crop in, and all that shebang. So thank you for a great week, everybody. Massive week for us next week. Be a big trek coming on. The report next week, weekly update, will tell you a little bit about that one. Please have a little look at www.constructionsport.com. Get involved. Get the business you're working for to get involved. And you can come along with us on a couple of little events this year. Thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend.